Hi, my name is Rachel. I wanted to talk to you about some books that I've read recently. I'll start with the book I read the longest ago, and that was this one right here. No, let's start with this one. This one I started about like 3 years, probably longer than that, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So this book is called The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands by Dr. Laura Schlessinger. So this book was given to me by my mom. She has passed away now about 5 years ago. But she probably gave me this book maybe a year or two before she passed. And when I had read it, I really didn't like this book at all. It was very offensive to me. I felt at that time it had really put down women and put women in a very horrible light. And so I just put this down after reading maybe 2-3 chapters of it, and I just haven't picked it up since then. Well, as I was going through my books, I was like, you know what? My mom gave me this. She passed away about 5 years ago. I really need to get through this book because this was advice that she was trying to give me before for my marriage. And so The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands is basically, she's a doctor, like a therapist or something along those lines. But she has her own talk radio show, and you can actually, I believe she's on Sirius Radio series. And she's actually on other podcast apps too. She gives advice to people. They'll call in and just ask her advice on marriage and life, and a lot to have to do with marriage. And she just really is you think Dr. Phil's blunt, she is one of the bluntest people I know. And so if you're not used to the way that she handles people, she does not deal with puts on kid gloves for people and talks to them like that. She is very blunt with them, very straightforward. She'll call people stupid when they're being stupid. So to me, she's a little bit too much. I wish she was a little bit more softer because she gives such great advice. And sometimes her advice is not heard. In my case, I didn't hear her advice because she was so aggressive towards women. But as I read further and finished the book, I realized why she's so aggressive to women. And part of that is just because women really like to fight for being right. And in every single case, sometimes women want to always think that they're always right all the time. And I know for myself, it's hard for me to say sorry to my husband. So she just really reveals the pride that women can have in their heart. She talks a lot about how the feminist mindset has really pushed our culture to believe that women are higher than men, and that men should be subservient to us, answer to us, and really all she does is make women think about what it would be like in your husband's shoes. If your husband had done that to you, how would you feel? Well, I wouldn't like it as a wife. Well, then why would you expect your husband to like it? And so, yeah, I really suggest this book as a woman. Know that it, or as a wife, know that it can be offensive, but I feel like she's doing it for the right reasons, to really get across to women that we are not perfect. There's scriptures quoted in this verse, or in this book, I'm sorry. So there are scriptures in here, and they do talk about God. I wouldn't say it's a Christian book, but it does have basic Christian principles in it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this book. I think I gave it a 5 stars, maybe a 4, because it has such great advice. I know that on Goodreads, it was right in the middle, because either people hated it and burn it or people love it because it has such good wisdom to women. If they would just be able to get through the insults to hear the wisdom that she has to give us. So yeah, really great book. I recommend it. It's 5 stars in my mind. And it's a really short book. And my mom recommended it to me, so I finally finished that. Okay, the next book I have here is called The Skin Maps, and this book, it was a book that was recommended on one of the YouTubers that I watch. She's a Christian YouTuber. I can't think of her name right now, but she recommended this book as one of her favorite fiction books, and so I do not like. I really struggle with reading fiction books. I want to read a lot more, so I'm trying to do that. So I checked out this book. This book is about time travel. The story follows a young man, who is just living his life, and it's not really that great of a life. But one day he runs into his grandpa, who he thought was dead, but his grandpa is a time traveler, and his grandpa came to get him so that he could help with this task, that there's quest that he's trying to go on. And so he he doesn't want to, but he ends up going on this time traveling quest with his grandpa. And so they have these things called ley lines, which is basically like a line. I think it follows like the equator or something like that. And they meet up, and they have to meet at this certain spot, and then they can time travel when the sun is up or the sun is down, something along those lines. So and then when they time travel, they never know where they're going. They never know where they're going to be, like even what country they're going to be in. And then also it's kind of like the multiverse idea, where there's all these worlds or Earths out there, and they have all different situations. So yeah, it's just they never know where they're going to end up at. So he ends up coming back from his time travel, which was like a few hours long, and his girlfriend was like, "Where were you?" And she's all mad at him. He's like, "I was time traveling on these ley lines," and he's like, "Come see." And so he brings her out to the ley lines, and as they're going out there, she ends up time traveling, but to a different place that he goes. So he goes to one place in time, and she goes to another place in time. And so then he's trying basically the whole book to get back to her and rescue her and bring her back to her the world that she was, the earth that she was from. And so while he's trying to do this, which is like virtually impossible to find her, she ends up somewhere in like England, where she in the time of the Middle Ages, and she ends up with this baker boy, and they are going to make a new bakery in the village that they live in. Well, the bakery ends up not succeeding, and so she comes up with this really great idea, a modern idea, to make business boom. And I won't give that away, but she ends up making that happen, and through her business booming, she makes all these connections to people who work for the palace in England, and who are working with the ley lines and that type of field. And so she ends up being able to find her boyfriend instead of her boyfriend finding her. all kinds of stuff happens along the way. But for me, I thought this book was interesting. I thought it was interesting how she made like a life out of her new life, even though she didn't want a new life. She actually enjoyed living during the medieval time period, which I love that time period. She loved being able, like, she was a business minded woman, during modern times. So she was able to transfer that into the medieval time period where women weren't really like that and weren't really aggressive when it came to business. And so I liked that part of the book. I liked how her new invention that she came up with, and I like the time travel. I wish there was a little bit more in there. And I know that they have a lot more books in this series. I don't think I'll be reading it, though. It was not exactly what I was looking for in a time travel book, but I know for some people, like, they might really enjoy it. So I just wanted to mention it. It is an older book, like, not super old, but okay, so 2010, so it's not that old at all. It is not, a Christian-based book by any means. In fact, I was listening to somebody online about, they were talking about, like, demons or witchcraft from a Christian perspective, like a lady who was in the New Age. She had been into that before she was saved. Well, she was talking about ley lines, and I was like, what? I didn't even know that was, like, a real thing that people dealt with, like, in the New Age realm of things. So anyways, it's interesting, but I wouldn't really recommend it. If you're into fantasy and things like that, I think you really would get a kick out of it. Okay. Next, this book right here, This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti. Peretti. Okay, so this book is a Christian fiction book, which is really one of the first Christian fiction books I think I've ever read. Like I said, I've been wanting to get into fiction more. I really struggle with imagination, so I really want to work on that. So, someone online was talking about this book. This book is talked about a lot online in the Christian fiction realm. So I was like, and then they're saying it was about angels and demons and how they work in the world. And I love stories about angels and demons, so I bought it on Thrift Books, I think, for $2. And this book was written, like, a while ago, like in the 70s, maybe? No, 1980. So I would say that this is an interesting book. I would probably give it a 2 or a 3. And the reason I give it that many stars is because, I don't know, like, it did talk about angels, it did talk about demons, it did talk about how they work in the world, but it wasn't in a way that I was really interested in. I felt like the characters in the book, like, they had way too many townspeople in this book. Like, they named at least 100 different people that lived in the town, and you kind of had to remember, oh yeah, this person used to be this person, and they moved here, and then this person used to work at this shop, and then they went over here. And so that was annoying to have to follow all of those different people that they were trying to name, and you had to kind of understand what they were trying to say about these people. So I'm trying to think what my favorite part of the book was. I really liked the beginning of the book. I wish that they would have used the story about angels and demons working in the world in a more natural way than just like, because they use a lot of like new age, like I was just talking about, like mysticism, witchcraft, going to the fourth dimension, that kind of new age type stuff. So the townspeople are basically trying to worship demons, or they're trying to make a new age religion following in this town. And so they're trying to get rid of like all the people in this town who are on board to follow the new age religion. So that involves just basically everything that isn't God, like witchcraft, demon worship. What else were they doing? They were doing hypnotism, mind reading, like fortune telling, meditation, all those types of things that God doesn't want us to deal with, because behind it is Satan and demons. And so this whole town was trying to make that happen. And there's a new preacher in the town, and he was really fighting demons off, because all these demons were trying to attack any like good people in the town, or any people that wouldn't turn to the new age religion that they're trying to implement this whole town into. So I wish I would have used not new age religion, but some other like just sin that the town was dealing with. I think that would have been more like realistic, or more like something that we deal with on a daily basis. So yeah, it was a good book. There's a second one in the series. I probably will not read the second one. I think one of my things I was really let down about is that people would say online or on YouTube, like, this book changed the way I looked at praying. It made me realize that praying is like so important. And as like in the book, it does have a place for that, but in no way would I say that this changed my mindset on what prayer does. Just reading the scriptures would change my mind on how important prayer is. I wish this book would encourage me a little bit more to pray, but it wasn't really that moving to me. So, interesting book. I'm glad I got through it. But I wouldn't even know who I would recommend this book to. Maybe just a Christian who only likes to read Christian books. I would recommend it to. But beyond that, there's not something that I would really recommend to people. I hate to say that, because it's not like I hated it. I didn't hate it. It just wasn't something I was super excited about. So for me, I gotta be super excited about books, to read books. So out of these 3 books, this one right here was my favorite. Of course, it's a nonfiction. I always love nonfiction so much, because I feel like they really change my life, or they give me a different perspective on life. As like books like this, I just really don't get, like, it doesn't help my life out. It just makes me like imagine the story that's happening, and then like I'm done with it. I don't really it doesn't really change me in any way, shape, or form. But this one, I've definitely taken her advice in different areas and have applied it to my marriage, making me realize that, wow, I need to say sorry a lot more. I need to realize that I'm not um, always right, or I don't need to always have my way. Okay, so this really spoke to me. I was wanting my husband to do um, like something romantic. I think it was for Valentine's Day or anniversaries coming up. Um, so I was wanting him to do something romantic, and a lot of times girls will get frustrated when their husbands don't do like the romantic things for them on those special days. Um, so she says, like, this means that if your husband doesn't say all the flowery things you think he should say, you've watched too many chick flicks. You should look at what he does. When he scrapes the ice off your car windshield, that is love speech. Men are more action. Action is largely meant how men communicate. So I was talking to my husband about what are you gonna do for me for our anniversary, and we were standing in line at the tire shop, and he was like annoyed that I was asking that question. And then he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then I just sat there thinking, like, he's in line at this tire shop with me for my tires. That's how my husband shows me love. That's how my husband sends me flowers. That's how my husband, writes like a romantic poem to me, whatever. But that's how he shows love to me. And he does those kind of things all the time. Like, he took off work to go do that for me. And, like, I don't care about tires, but to him, it makes him feel like he's taking care of me because I'm safe and I'm able to not even have to worry about the tires or deal with the tires because he took care of that all. So that I think I was reading this part of the book about that time that we were at the tire shop, and so that just really spoke to me and helped me realize that my husband is very romantic, just not in ways that maybe you, like, women expect men to be romantic. So anyways, recommend this book. I'm sure you can get it really cheap because it's older. Book probably like 10 or so years older. But that's all the books I have. I got a whole bunch more I plan on reading, and can't wait to see you guys then. Thanks. Bye.